Hi, everyone. Craig Morgan, founder Blended Together Forever, and I'm with some friends, Jeff and Anna from Abilene, Texas. I went to school
Hello.
in Abilene, so I love Abilene. I got a daughter that lives in Abilene, and I'm so excited to introduce you guys to them here in a second because we first met at an actual blended family event in McKinney, Texas, years ago. Both Jeff and Anna got our book Building Blocks and took it home. And not only have I'm interested in you hearing about their family, they're not only impacting their own family, but they're also trying to help other blended families. So excited for you to share, Jeff. Anna, thank you for doing this and for logging on. They're busy. In fact, tell everybody what you're doing right now. You're on your lunch
Well,
break, being to the kids, all that, whatever, all that
yeah,
stuff. So I know you're
chasing kids on a lunch break, all the things, but we're really excited to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we are. We're excited.
Yeah. Well, first of all, tell us about y'all. Tell us, go back to the beginning, how you met, kind of how the family dynamics were back then. Then we'll talk more about today and tomorrow, but start us at the beginning.
All right. Who's going?
You go first.
Okay. All right. We met. I had just recently divorced, and I was working out at a gym, and I walked into this big room, and she was sitting on these boxes. Oh man.
Maybe I should tell the story.
That didn't take long. I wasn't gonna get the emotional. Anyway, she was sitting on these boxes in front of a window, and like I've told her this quite a bit. It was a pretty undeniable direction of light pointing at her, and so I saw her sitting there, and I was like, wow. I asked one of my friends who she was, and ended up talking to her later on, and I found out that she had just broken off an engagement, and she told me about it, and I thought it was really courageous and something I wish I would have had the strength to do, before I got married the first time. Like I said, I just filed divorce a month or two before I met her. Anyway, we talked for a while. I tried for a couple of weeks or months to get her to go out with me, and she was, rightfully a little hesitant. But finally she did go out with me, and it has been nonstop since then. I mean, it was instantly a pretty deep connection, and it's been going for will be 11 years in 2 months. Yeah.
All right. So when you met, Jeff, you said you had two children?
Yes.
What were the ages?
Four and a half, and 3, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was dragging them along with me, and honestly, I think she fell in love with them before she fell in love with me. She would play with them out there, and I wasn't really super aware of it. But yeah, so they were my wing.
All right. And then Annie, he had said that you had just broke off an engagement.
I had.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was kind of homeschooled all of my life, and never really dated. And so kind of the first boy I got together with, I accepted a proposal. And then the more, I grew, the more I realized it wasn't right. And that was probably like maybe a week before I met you. And then my friend and I were talking about it at the gym, and Jeff kind of overheard, and yeah, he just kept pursuing me. I was hesitant because of the situation. I'd never been around any divorce at all. I was raised in a Christian home. And my parents stayed together. My grandparents on both sides stayed together. All my aunts and uncles, almost except one that was, kind of distant. I'd never been around divorce at all. So I was very hesitant to be around him. And that kind of led into just my naivety about the whole situation. I thought I could come in and it would be wonderful, but it was very tough first few years. Very tough.
What specifically made you hesitant at the beginning?
I just wasn't sure. I was raised in a very conservative home, and so I had just been taught like that's, if somebody's been married, they I don't know, I guess like they weren't the right person for you. Like the person that was going to be with you is going to be your first. And so that was kind of my mindset of like, oh, okay, I was waiting on someone else, and then I don't know, I just fell in love. He's right, I fell in love with the kids first, and then he and I were out together with some friends, and we kind of spent the whole night talking. We went off by ourselves, spent the whole night talking, and just discovered that we had a really strong connection.
All right. So obviously it started, you were hesitant, but then things progressed. What were some of the triggers that moved the needle down the road for y'all's relationship?
I think, and I don't know that I advocate for this being a good reason, but I think that part of it was that his children really needed some nurture, and they really started to attach to me, and I just kind of stepped in. Like, I really love this man. I really think he's, I watched him for a while. Like, is he a good sport? Is he kind? Is he, loving? Is he a good provider for his kids? And I saw all that. So I really liked him. But I also just, the kids really needed a nurturing woman around. And they attached to me very, very quickly. So I loved that.
So where was Jeff's ex? Was she around? Was she not involved? Was she not nurturing, or all the above? Or give me kind of the canary.
She was she was around. I think Jeff could probably speak more to that. It was a very, very messy divorce. We were in court. So we've been together 11 years, and we were in court for 9 of those years with this ex-wife, just fighting over all kinds of stuff. So it wasn't a healthy environment at all. But we I guess without saying too much, there was just a lot of unhealthy dynamic already, like pre-existing before I came along. And then it got even unhealthier as I came along, because there was just a lot of drama. But she was around, just not very much in the beginning, and then when I started coming around more, then she started coming around more, and then it was just tough. But
I would say at the beginning, I didn't really know how to hold the boundaries that I needed to hold to protect us and to keep her, in a stable place. And so I know we'll probably speak to that more later, because that's probably one of the reasons we're still here and talking to you now, is because I figured that out. Thank God. But no, at the beginning, she was around and involved and just wreaking havoc in our lives way too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So how long did you guys date before you actually married?
1 year. Yeah.
1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then after you guys said I do, you obviously blended Jeff's kids. And Anna, you'd never been married, right?
Never been married. I was 19.
All right.
All right. Pretty young.
Now, for our audience, do you have any children together, or is it still just Jeff's 2?
Yes, we have 2 boys together.
Yep.
All right.
We have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old.
So there's a total of 4?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now that you've blended, and when you look back, and of course for our audience that's listening, what's one of the blessings? I always like to start with something really positive. What's one of the, when you look back and how you've conquered, certain challenges and certain hills to go over, what's one of the blessings that's happened for your family?
You better go. I'm not going to make it.
Okay. I want Jeff to answer that one too, but I will. There's great blessings, honestly. And I think for a long time, I was actually pretty upset and got kind of angry and bitter about like, why this situation, why me, why did it have to happen like this? And then I realized probably, I think it was a Sunday at church, and I don't even remember what the lesson was about, but I remember thinking, and our situation, just to be candid, is extremely high conflict, and we've never had a co-parenting relationship. We've parallel parented for almost a decade now, or over a decade now. And I just remember thinking, Lord, I think you might have put Jeff's ex-wife in my life to bring me closer to you. Like, I couldn't believe that I thought that, but I thought, this woman who absolutely hates me and would love to just, ruin anything good in my life, she's made me lean on you more. She's made me rely on you more. She's made me help others more than I ever would have without her in my life. So this point of contention, this point of hurt and pain in my life, has brought me closer to God, and my heart open to helping anyone else who's been through it.
Wow. I'm glad you shared that, because blended families can have minor conflict, average conflict, and then, like you said, high conflict. So I think you're
Yeah.
giving others hope that may be in a similar situation. Jeff, what would you share?
Yeah. So I would go, just to add on to what she's said, and then I'll, speak to the kids. It's definitely, anyone who goes through something extremely painful and difficult and doesn't go, turn dark because of the pain and the bitterness and the resentment. Not that we haven't done that a little bit at times for brief periods, but she's definitely, and I have tried to as well. We've definitely tried to look to God, like, what are we going to get out of this? Why are you making us go through this? And more so her than me. She's very much into helping people in the same kind of circumstances and in others. She's very, very gifted at sometimes will go along with her as she's counseling someone, and the wisdom that she has is just, it's remarkable. She is bringing heaven, just shining God's light into people's darkness. And she does it every day, like all throughout the day. She'll help people. She gives
That's neat.
her time, her emotional energy, and it's really, really staggering to watch her do that and see how much hope she's given people. I do the same, try to do some of the same thing. I don't get to do it as much. I'm busier with providing and managing all the things I have to manage for work. But to speak to the kids and the blessings that have come from all the work we've put in, I look at a lot of their friends and there's probably some kids whose parents divorced about the same time and weren't as fortunate in the direction that life took after that as I was and as the kids were, because of what she's put into their life and into my life and what we've built together. There's really no way to know what the other path would have been like, but generations from now,
the Lord's blessing,
there will be blessing because of all the work and sacrifice and just head down, just getting through the hard stuff and giving gratefulness and gratitude, praising the Lord when we have the wins.
Yeah. I can feel the emotion. I can hear your heart right now as you're sharing, which brings me to just a couple of last questions. Where's God been in all this? Because Anna, you made a great comment. Jeff, you made a great comment. I mean, so many people might try to just blend their families with their own willpower and their own strength in the flesh and guidelines for kids or whatever, and all that's fine. But you obviously have a spiritual connection that you've allowed this to permeate your family, and you're relying on the Lord. How important has that been for you guys as you've been walking in this journey?
I just definitely don't think we'd be married. I don't think we'd have made it without our faith of this is gonna work out. And we've had many marriage counselors. We've had court-ordered therapists involved with the kids, with the ex. We've had a lot of mediators like in our lives trying to help the situation, because it really has been so high conflict. We've had judges say, like, this is the longest docket she'd have ever seen, and so I think that one time a therapist, looked straight at us and because we were worried. We were like, how do we defeat this? It seems like a spiritual battle. And are we sure that good wins? Are we sure? And he just said, I have full faith that love always wins. And so if you do what you're doing in love, which is not a feeling, it's a very difficult choice.
Yeah.
And if you do what you do in love, you cannot lose. God will bless that no matter which direction your life takes, and whether you see it or not, he's going to bless it.
So neat. How would you address people that are other blended families that are in high conflict like you? Give them some hope, because it can be so desperate. We all have issues, we all have challenges, but no question there's others that have real challenges, real stress. It's a high level. You guys have experienced high conflict in blending.
Yes.
What could you share with them that would give them hope to keep persevering and going forward?
I'd love for you to answer that, because I mean, as a stepmom, if it's a stepmom, I would love, like, I always tried to kind of assert myself. I wanted to be involved. I just wanted everyone to know how much I loved the kids. But I think as a stepmom, it's your place to kind of take care of the kids and focus on the vibe of your own home. You are the heart of your home. Don't worry about the ex. Don't worry about what's going on over there. Don't communicate with her. Leave that for dad, because leave that for the bio parent, because that is their job. And focus on how you can make your home the happiest. But I couldn't do that without your role, which is
I would say that one of the main things that we've benefited from, and this is to speak to like God's influence in our lives, is to push me towards being more protective and more just keeping her safe and in a place where she can focus on our home, how everyone's feeling, what everyone needs, and not constantly worrying about our life imploding because of some random thing that a judge says, or communication from the kids' parents that's just like, I mean, it's beyond mean. I mean, I don't know a word for it, but we've gotten to a place where we've built pretty good boundaries and pretty solid walls, and God's definitely led us in that direction. Learning to listen to her feelings and her like if she's really upset and really anxious and really really torn up about something, instead of just like, whoa, she's having a moment, I better give her some space. Well, I've did that for a while, it didn't work. So what has worked is listening and digging in, and really it's not always, it's always hard, actually. I was gonna say it's not always easy, it's always usually difficult, but when you get down to what's going on, there's something that's needed there, and as the man, it's your job to provide that safety and security, and she takes care of everything else when she has that. And it, like, once we figure that out,
good,
worked really well. He started drawing major boundaries, and he, even if our lawyer was like, well, this is the advice that I would give, so that whatever, he started saying, no, I'm going to protect my family. If I win a couple, or if I lose a couple battles along the way, I'm going to lose them, because I'm going to keep my family safe, my wife, my children, my 4 children, I'm going to keep them safe. And I started feeling more and more emotionally stable, because I felt like I could trust in him, and he was leading us. And there really is so much hope out of those dark days. I mean, there were some dark days, but
what I was going to say is, really at the beginning, and for the first couple of years, we were pretty focused on the kids and their needs. And I mean, we were pretty thoughtful. We thought we were putting our marriage first, and setting that example for the kids, but we really weren't. I mean, when it came down to what we were anxious about and what we were stressing about, like in the privacy of our room, it was custody stuff. It was what they needed, what they were thinking, what their mom might be saying about us, and what they might be telling them, and it got to a point where we were just kind of like, whatever happens, God can fix all of that. I kind of let go of like the need to win every custody interaction. Like, I mean, I've told guys recently, like, listen, man, if you lose a little bit of time with your kids, but you do the best thing for your marriage, that's a win. Like, your kids, you want as much time with them as possible. But what's really blessed and enriched us is putting our marriage first.
Yeah.
And
So
so
the quality of time that you can have as a family, even if you have a little bit less time, which fathers normally get, which we were blessed back in 2017 to be able to have equal access to our children after not having equal access. And we fought for that, and we would have always fought for that. That was highly important to us. And at one point, I think I even said, like, we will never stop fighting for this. And then we ended up mediating that. But yeah, when he started giving me the emotional security, it gave a good quality of life. For our whole family.
And in her helping lots of stepmoms, that's probably the biggest thing I've seen, is that fellas getting remarried, just they're getting a second shot and they're blowing it. They're not listening to what their wife is feeling and needing, and they're not putting their marriage ahead of their children. And that's not to say don't fight for your kids and don't fight for, equal access to them in time. Do all that. But man, you don't do all that and then let your marriage fall apart, because then your kids are going to be in an infinitely worse situation.
Let's make that the last question. That's a perfect lead in, Jeff. We know that the second time around, the divorce rate's actually higher than people that divorced the first time. You guys not only understand that, you've seen a need and you've tried to reach out and make a difference and impact other men, other women, other couples. Tell us about what you're doing. Let's finish with that, because I'd like others to hear what you're doing, not only with your own pain, but how you're actually blessing it, passing it forward, and trying to be a ministry to other couples like you guys.
Yeah, I have a heart for stepmoms. Obviously, I've been one for a long time, and it's, I think, undoubtedly the toughest role in any step family dynamic ever. It's tougher than a step dad. It's tougher than any role you can have, a stepmom, for some reason. Maybe the double standards, I don't know. It's the toughest role. And so I have a heart, especially for young women just taking it on and not really understanding what they're getting into. So I've been coaching young women for a long time. And Jeff has just started stepping in and coaching their husbands, their fiancés, their boyfriends, because, like he said, it's hard because a lot of them we see a lot of them struggling with, like, they're blowing it or whatever, because they don't understand the boundaries of, you're completely uncoupling or divorcing someone, and then you're recoupling or getting remarried to someone else, and those lines are very blurry. Like, what do I need to be here for my ex-wife for? How do I co-parent? If we're going to do it healthily, how do I co-parent with her, but still keep my wife comfortable and happy? And, like, those are very tough emotional lines for everyone involved. And so a lot of people, I don't think, know how to do it. And the men, especially, we've seen, are very passive about it. They're like, oh, well, I just don't want to cause a fight with my ex-wife. So I'd kind of rather my wife be upset and she'll get over it. And Jeff has really spoken into those men, and we're getting certified right now to be step family coaches. But so we're really, really excited about that, because we really have a heart for it. But Jeff is really breathing life into men, like, hey, stand up for your family. If you cause a rift between you and your ex-wife because you're standing up for your wife, then that rift was necessary, man. Like, do the hard, right things so that your family confident in your leadership.
So glad to hear what you guys are. Jeff, you want to add anything to that? I love how you've taken what y'all have been through and are passing it on and being a blessing for other stepdads and stepmoms.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I wish more guys would reach out for help. It seems to always be the mom suffering and reaching out for help, and it's like, where you at, man? Like, don't let her suffer by herself. Get in there and figure it out. Get in there and listen to her. Like, I mean, a lot of the things that the women need in this situation and in this role it's just a lot more engagement, and, like, you got to be ready to have some fights. Honestly, like, there's a lot of fights to be had in this role. And if you, as the man, will stand in there and fight and protect your wife, like, I mean, yeah, you're going to have some uncomfortable interactions with other people, but like home life is going to get a lot better. Like it's nice. Like, just trust me, guys. Do it.
So
when a woman feels protected and you know, like she's really able to rest under your leadership, like your life just blossoms in a beautiful way.
Thank you guys so much for sharing. Hey, everybody, we're going to put Jeff and Anna's contact info on this email blast because if you can not only follow what they're doing, but you might want to reach out to them. You hear what they're doing. So, guys, thank you so much for sharing with everybody today. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having us.
Thank you, Craig.
All righty. Hold on just a second.